afternoon. My name is John Davison, or John Sky Davison. I'm an artist and designer in the Cleveland area, and Sky is good if you want to call me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will call you Sky.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And how long have you worked as an artist?
Um, Most of my adult life, since college, 25. Since then, I had a company, clothing company I ran for a while. And then later on, I started tattooing and doing design work and things like that. So, yeah.
Thank you. I didn't expect to hear about the tattooing. So can we stay with that topic for a moment?
We can.
Yeah, because it was my understanding, again, just from speaking with Stacy, that you're a painter. But
And
do people think of, people within the field, think of tattoo art as art with a capital A, or is it just a different form of expression?
well, it's definitely a different form of expression. It's just painting on the skin or graphic on the skin. So, but I never thought I would be a tattoo artist because you can't erase. You make a mistake, that's it. So I never thought I would be doing tattoos. That's the one thing never saw myself doing. But as it turns out, I started tattooing in 2003. After I closed my company down, I started doing tattoos. I trained under a gentleman named Gus Turner, and then moved to New York after a couple years and was tattooing in New York for about 8 years, 7, 8 years. So, and came back to Cleveland. Yeah.
Sounds like an interesting journey. But again, coming home to Cleveland, and thank you for helping me make that segue. Coming home to Cleveland, can you tell us about your Cleveland area roots and a little bit about your early life in the city?
Um, well, I was born and raised in Cleveland, East Cleveland, Ohio. My mother was a teacher, father was an attorney. My mother supported my art career. My father, he wasn't so much for it, but my mother, she put me through classes at the Cleveland Institute of Art. Uh, did a lot of drawing coming up, and as a teenager, I got interested in graffiti. So I started doing graffiti around 14, and through my teen years, uh, then after high school, I went to the Cleveland Institute of Art and studied industrial design. So I became more of a designer type artist because I didn't want to be an artist because the whole notion was that if you become an artist, you'll be starving. So I thought maybe industrial design would be a better segue into an art career, which it was for a little while. And I worked a couple years as an industrial designer and then went back to my painting roots and came back to Cleveland and started a clothing company. So,
Yeah. May I ask, please, about your experiences as a graffiti artist? 'Cause you say graffiti,
yeah.
and if I'm trying to think, and I'm not the art historian, I took straight U.S. social history, but if I'm pretending to be an art historian, you say graffiti, I'm going to think Jean-Michel Basquiat
Yeah.
and the crowns
Yeah.
and same old
Yeah.
and the various ways that he identified his public art. If you say you want to be a graffiti artist, how do you do that? You look for abandoned buildings and you sketch it out on paper, or how do you train to be a graffiti artist?
Well,
If you don't mind saying that on the record.
um, well, it starts by drawing. If you have a love for drawing, uh, words, characters, uh, usually somebody already affiliated with the culture will give you a name, or you can choose a name based on your own style or things like that. Um, you don't have, well, abandoned buildings, you can practice on different buildings, things like that. But there are different types of graffiti artists, some that are just strictly on the wall, and some that draw in books and do production pieces, which are paid for, and they're legal pieces. So it can range from a wide variety of things. And sometimes you're part of a crew, a group of other artists. My crew was 3A, always armed with aerosol. So that was they were out of Connecticut. I joined when I was in working as an industrial designer in Connecticut, and stayed with them for a while. And graffiti influenced a lot of my painting work. So that combined with what I learned as an industrial designer, and I kind of named my style industrial graffiti. So, because it had a lot of product imaging in it, and text and words and things like that. And I used a lot of mixed media in my work. So,
Okay. Well, thank you for that description of your work. But do you prefer large format paintings? Again, just the little bit that I think I know about graffiti, I'm thinking a wall
yeah,
of a building.
yeah.
So, do you prefer to paint
I,
on
pref-
a
I prefer
large
painting.
surface?
Yeah, prefer painting on a large surface.
Mhm.
Yeah, as opposed to a building. Um, yeah, large canvases I like. So,
And where can we go to view some of the art that you've created?
well, now just on my website, there's nothing up in the public. It's been a while. I haven't done anything on walls since I was a teenager. Um, so you won't find anything out and about in the city wise. Well, there's one project. It's not really graffiti, but it was a mural project I did with Gus Turner, my tattoo art teacher, over in the Cleveland Clinic area. Some storage containers we did. Uh, that was about 4 or 5 years ago. We did that. Um, but most of my work now is just on my website and online, Facebook. So
So, and if we're searching for that site, do we look for Sky or John Davison?
I'll look for Sky 759 at Weebly.com. Weebly.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure there will be viewers and reporters and other individuals who will see your work and hear your excerpts from your interview with the National Association of Black Journalists coming to town, and they will want, I'm sure, to see and hear more. So that'll be great if they can find things online. But I heard what you said about your parents and who supported your choice for a profession and who maybe a little lukewarm about it.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if that parent who practiced law eventually it came to accept the artwork as a calling, perhaps, that his son accepted, or
Yeah, well, he accepted it. My father, he supported me when I had my company, the T-shirt company. Uh, but he didn't. They were divorced when I was 7, so I didn't. I lived with my mother most of the time, so I didn't do much artwork around my father. But he did get a chance to see some of my work, and from what I could tell, he enjoyed it. So
You know, I often hear, and in fact, I had two sons who went to those Saturday classes at the Cleveland Museum of Art.
Yeah,
Wasn't aware that there were children's programs at the Institute of Art.
yeah.
But is that a weekend endeavor also?
I think it was back in the day. I think we would go on weekends to the Cleveland Institute of Art for different classes and whatnot. So, but not at the art school. I don't think there were any at the art school that I went to, but at the Museum of Art, I attended those classes.
All right, thank you. I'm wondering also, because Jean-Michel Basquiat, I believe his family's roots are in the Caribbean. And with the French name, I would guess Haitian, but I could be wrong. But there are other parts of the French Caribbean also where there are African descended peoples. But he just has a fascinating story and heart-wrenching too that he died so young. But I'm wondering if you can share information about what attracted your family, your ancestors, to this part of the United States of America and the city of Cleveland in particular, if you know that part of the history.
Well, my mother's side of the family is from down south from Georgia. So I'm not sure when they came up here. My father's side, I think they're from Cleveland, Cleveland area. But I'm not sure when my mother's side came up here. But yeah, from LaGrange, Georgia, I believe it was. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Again, just want to have this sense of, Black artists, who have global influences. And it's been that way for a long time, it seems to me. At least that's how it's presented in the history textbooks. Romare Bearden wasn't just known in New York.
Right.
Bearden
Right.
all over the place. He's one of my favorites. And I just feel blessed to be able to have conversations with people who make art on a regular basis. But I'm wondering, since you told us about AAA, always armed with aerosol,
Aerosol, yeah.
inspiring a certain style of graffiti art. If there are other artists who you would identify, again, I think John Michel, but there may be other artists with other styles, other than the tattoo artists that you identified earlier, other artists whose work you really admire, and perhaps, I don't know if they influence your style at all, even in the industrial design work that you.
Right. Well, Basquiat was definitely a big influence for my work. Another artist, Doze Green from New York, he's one. Mode 2, a young man in France, his graffiti work I look at. Uh, Keith Haring, his work. So there are few that influenced my work that I still study and look at. So
Right. And have you lived and worked in other parts of the world and made art in those places where you've traveled?
in Connecticut, I was there for 2 years and did work there, and had an internship in Florida, Fort Lauderdale. So I did design work down there. So
But most of your art you've made here
in Cleveland, yeah,
on America's North Coast.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And why have you chosen to remain in this part of the world at this point in your life?
well, it's familiar. It's home, so I'm used to it.
If you had to describe your work in just one word,
Oh, excuse me.
here we are in the digital age. We can edit that out.
Oh,
Or Catherine can edit it out. She's smarter than I am.
yeah, it's Lisa. Yeah, yes.
I want to be an artist. Oh, the camera's still rolling. I should be quiet.
Okay.
Right. Sure. May I thank you for mentioning the name of Keith Haring?
Yeah.
I visited the Akron Museum grand total of one time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went, there was a Keith Haring show
Mm-hmm.
there. And it was just a couple of years ago. I went there looking for an exhibition that had been put together by someone I think is an amazing photographer. Her name is Amanda D. King.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a Greyhound bus to Akron, and then it was like free museum day, and they had shuttle buses going from the bus station to the museum, and I saw Keith Haring's work.
Mm-hmm.
But for people who have not seen it, how would you describe it when you identify him as one of the influences? What is it about his work that drew you to it?
Uh, the fluidity and the simplicity of it, and the messages he would present with his characters. So, and then I liked how his first style of painting in abandoned, or not abandoned, but empty advertisements in the subways in New York. So that's how he kind of got around, got his stuff noticed. And so that I was a big fan of that. So
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing. And that one time, if I may say, and you can edit this out too if you like, fell in love with his work. I
yeah,
think I paid $65 for the catalog.
wow,
That kind of love for that art that a lot of people just looked at,
yeah,
sort of subway art
yeah,
and not high art. It's now in the museum galleries. But and that inspires, it seems to me, a lot of people. But can you point to the source of that inspiration? You know, why so many people are drawn to an art that it looks, like you said, very simplistic. You know, in one way, and complex in others. But I'm just wondering how you would describe it as an artist, to your critical eye. What is it that inspires people so when they see that style of Keith Haring?
well, it's simplistic. They can relate to it. Uh, he doesn't have a wide color range. It's mostly graphic style art, and I think that reads well to the viewer. Uh, his characters are simple. Messages are simple. A lot of political themes. Um, there's another one, Shepard Fairey. I like his work. He does mostly wheat pastes. That's a lot of graphic design work that he pastes up like posters around the city. So he did the Hope campaign for Obama. The painting of the red, white, and blue of Obama. He did that. So his work, Keith Haring's work, Jean-Michel Basquiat's work. Those are some of my top ones that I'm influenced by. So
You also mentioned earlier your work as an industrial designer. Is that the formal title?
yes,
And then, can you tell us what that entails, as far as what are you designing for industry?
consumer products. I did radios, two-way radios at Motorola, um, calculators, bicycles, heating units, things like that, tools for Stanley tools, but mostly consumer electronic products. So the designing of those.
And can you tell me, please, how the technology informs the art, or is it the art that's shaping the technology? You come up with a basic design and then hand that off to someone else, or is there a team?
Well, it's kind of a team. We would come up with the idea. Well, first the client would present what they needed, and then we would like take a blue sky approach to creating a product for that, and then it would go to engineering, and engineering would usually there's a battle between the designers and the engineers as to what can be done and what can't be done, but I found a pretty happy medium between the two, where I could work and a lot of the prototypes we would do looked more like sculpture, looked like fine art sculpture before they got actually made into production where you could actually use them. So
Yes. And how long did you do that type of work?
that was about 3 years.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay. And it's interesting that you described that that process, that creative process. That sometimes is a battle between the designers and the engineers.
Hmm.
Okay, but who usually won? Was it more art or more science, or was there a bit of a balance
It
there?
was a balance. It was a good balance. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds quite interesting. I um, I had the pleasure of speaking with two other artists today, and one of them was Giorgio Sabino. And Giorgio's just all over the place, kind of like Stacy Brisker, multi-talented, multitasking all the time,
Right.
giving me instruction, sending emails late at night and early in the morning. But just did so many different things well. But in recent months, certainly since the summer of 2024, it was photography that brought us together. But I'm wondering, are there any other art forms other than the painting primarily, and the painting on the skin and painting on surfaces and designs on paper? Anything other than those visual arts? Are there other fine and performing arts that you're also interested in?
Sculpture. I do a little sculpture and furniture building, furniture design. I had a table that I brought up here, but it uh, got into an accident on the way bringing it down here. The glass broke, so I have to try to figure out how to get that repaired for the show. But yeah, furniture building, sculpture. Uh, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this, I keep saying that I really am convinced that Stacy Brisker has just done an amazing job of bringing together a really diverse group of artists. And I spoke with a writer earlier today,
Hmm.
and books, you know,
Yeah.
radio programs, blogs. But just, I wonder if you've tried your hand at writing at all.
I used to do poetry, write and perform poetry, spoken word. Um, I haven't done any recently, but that was my thing for a while.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And how long is the while?
Uh, I think I started in maybe 97, 98, and performed and wrote up until maybe 2010, 13, something like that.
More than a decade.
Yeah.
Public performances, a
Public
spoken word?
performance. Yeah.
Okay. Most of that again here in Northeast Ohio?
Cleveland and New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever record any of those works of poetic art?
Yeah, a couple of them have been recorded. So I don't have any of the recordings though now. They've all been lost. But yeah, I've been recorded a couple times. So
Yeah. Well, this has been very informative, just having these interview opportunities today, and I thank you for being one of the three people that
thank
we
you.
were able to talk to. Stacy had shared some background information about some of the work, including the poetry. So I had to ask about that today. But also see information about a Walkman that you developed
Oh,
for people who are hearing impaired.
yeah, that was my thesis project called Silent Thunder, Walkman for Hearing Impaired. They use tactile stimulus, visual stimulus, and closed caption to simulate the different aspects of music for someone who's hearing impaired to enjoy. So,
And all of that kind of training comes out of an industrial design program.
right, right.
Okay.
At Cleveland Institute of Art, that's where I learned that. Yeah.
Okay. And that kind of technology focus program
Hmm.
is available at the Institute.
Yes. Yeah.
It's, I'm in a different space, usually when I'm on college and university campuses. And we don't always find that the engineers and the arts and humanities people have some common ground, but it's interesting to know that it happens
Right.
at the Institute of Art. Yeah, were there pioneers in that field when you chose it, you know, who sort of spoke to you? Or how were you directed to the industrial design area?
A spokesperson from the school came to my high school, the Shaw High School, and did a presentation. And that's because I wanted to be an architect at first. And then when he showed me that this was basically an architect for product design, then I was like, well, yeah, I'd rather do that. So I saw pictures of phones and adding machines and things like that, and then drawings of them. And I said, "Oh wow, you do drawings and you build the model." So once I realized you did both 2D and 3D renditions of your ideas, that kind of got me excited. So.
And are you producing these drawings by hand or is it computer aided design?
Well, now when I was in school, it was by hand. Now mostly it's computer aided. So, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about technology at this moment in time when there's almost an uproar that I've noticed about AI
Yeah.
and how either it's going to stifle creativity or eliminate it altogether. And AI can create images
Right.
that were not taken by photographers, but just images.
Right.
And
Right.
it's hard to tell the difference,
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
the real photography and the AI images. And are you concerned, as someone who has worked in technical fields and also those that are purely creative?
Not too much. I mean, there's still more to the imagination you can come up with, I think. Um, yeah, AI definitely is producing more and more images and things, and like in school, uh, pastels and chalk and markers what we used to use. Now everything is on a computer pad, on a digital screen, and so AI does contribute with some of that, but I think it's still plenty of room for the human imagination to come up with stuff. So.
Thank you. And as we approach the end of our time together today, I just want to ask, with the upcoming show, we're looking at Tuesday, the 5th of August, 2025, welcoming hundreds of Black journalists to Cleveland Public Library for a welcome party here in the garden. I'm just wondering if there's a message that you hope those journalists will share with the rest of the world, or at least a message that they will receive for themselves when they look at your art.
Oh, not sure. Uh, Something hopefully inspiring and motivational, uh, futuristic, I guess, graphic wise. So, yeah, never really thought about it that much.
So should we be prepared then to see paintings that
Hey.
you've created?
Paintings, graphics, things like that. Yeah,
Well, thank you so much.
thank you.